Ooh, how we doing? Let me fix it. It always looks so different when I. Ooh, you're my wig. Don't mind my wig. How y'all doing? I want you guys, you know what I'm saying, as we come on in, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I'm giving you guys a very different topic, so I hope you all appreciate it. And also, let me know where you are tuning in from. Let me know what you're drinking. I'm drinking coconut water because I need my electrolytes. Your girl went running today, so I am exhausted. So, as you can tell by the title, we're talking about soul ties. Now, I want to do a disclaimer. I don't do disclaimers typically because I'm grown. We are adults. But I want to reassure you all that I wanted to create an open forum where we can discuss, a topic that has been, presented in my live streams. And, we're just going to open the floor. You can have your own thoughts. I'm going to have my own thoughts. And I think the great thing about being an individual is that you are entitled to your own thinking. And I'm just trying to get everyone in the practice of, when you're addressing the topic, have well supported evidence, you know what I'm saying? Because that strengthens your argument. Check out the description box. I have a ton of links. And also, you know what I'm saying, the fight still continues, so check the description box for relevant links. We have to stay abreast of all that stuff. So I appreciate you. If you are tuning in with me, thank you again. Hit that thumbs up button if you want to see more content like this when we discuss controversial topics. But today we're going to be talking about soul ties, and you're like, why are we talking about soul ties? Well, I want to ask you, why are you talking about soul ties? Because I noticed in a lot of my live streams that many of you were introducing the term soul ties, into the discussion. And it was always, it had sort of like a negative connotation, a negative context. And it was basically kind of used to warn women of how they conduct themselves, when they are, I guess, multi-dating, dating with a purpose, or pursuing a potential mate. So I did my research. I did my Googles. I wanted to understand what exactly is on the internet about soul ties, because this is a term that is not explicitly stated or, mentioned in the Bible. And so I looked at some YouTubers who talk about soul ties because, again, I need a point of reference. And so I'm going to be talking more about this type of stuff that I found, and I also want to talk more about the controversy of soul ties and why I have distanced myself. I do not believe in it, and I think there are elements of it being a patriarchal agenda. This is a man-created concept. It can also, parallel like the social construct as we see with virginity. And it's typically a concept that they discuss with an emotional bond, some sort of spiritual connection. It's typically is very, very widely discussed with respect to intimacy. It also discusses elements of physical intimacy, so that is very big when we're talking about soul ties. So okay, I have a lot of notes, so I will be, I want to stay on track, and I want to make sure we're getting it together. So one of the first things that I noticed, like with the whole soul ties argument, and hey everybody, I'm just trying to stay on track, and then I want to hear from you all. And don't be afraid. Like, if you have your thoughts, share them. I wanted people to tell me about the Bible verses that they found. I want you guys to feel comfortable. Like, we can challenge each other, and we can still have a productive conversation without it being divisive. Because again, that's what an open forum is for. So moving on in. So the reason why, when I noticed you guys were, introducing the term soul ties into the conversation into the live stream, it made me kind of wary about the voices that are adding to this narrative about soul ties. And with a concept that is created by a man, I have concerns about it having a patriarchal agenda. I want to know about the undertones, the subtext. What can be interpreted from what is not being said, or what is being implied and inferred? And is it, even possible to use biblical text to support a concept that was developed by man? So that was kind of like my homework. And there weren't like, super credible websites. I mean, they have You know, they bought the website. That was the bulk of it. But I was looking for more like academic literature. If you guys have books, if you're watching this in the playback or you're in the live, definitely share the books that you have read or that you can provide insight to. And I'm also going to be speaking outside of the patriarchal agenda and the undertones and the subtext and what is being implied or inferred. I also want to get more into, is it propaganda? And, you know, like I said, when we talk about, you know, these man-made concepts, these social constructs, women are often burdened with having to navigate the discourse, you know, when we talk about soul ties. And when we talk about things like virginity, when we talk about intercourse, and I want to kind of move the conversation also like to a psychological kind of like aspect or a vantage point, because do we know our attachment styles? Do we know why we are attracted to the people that we are attracted to? And is that influencing our connection versus trying to tie it to a more spiritual thing? Because there are, you know, the mind, our emotions, and they say that the body, you know, emotions are like basically your outward expression of what the body is already feeling. So I'm gonna discuss. So, like I said, I have reservations about the term soul ties because, again, it's not mentioned in the Bible. And one of the first things that I wanted to do, one of the most popular YouTube videos that I saw on this topic was from Tony Gaskins. And I'm not going to paraphrase. I'm going to directly quote what this man said in his video, because I think it may give you perspective. So Tony Gaskins did a video on soul ties, and please bear in mind that this is also a creative in the influencer space who is marketing a product. So he has a course, he has a book. So those are all things that he mentioned in the video of soul ties. And again, that's why we want to be wary of like propaganda, how you can commodify, you know, these man created concepts. It could be a lucrative business. So Tony Gaskins said, I don't know who coined the term. Everyone may have a different meaning of it, it being soul ties. Soul tie is when you lie down with someone. So, but he also mentioned soul ties is not in there being the Bible. So he's acknowledging that, again, no place in the Bible. So he said, when you are sleeping with different people and you going from person to person, you're taking a piece of them with you and you're giving a piece of yourself away. That is why your heart becomes infected. I got a perspective of a man. I also wanted to get a perspective from a woman. So her name is Soul Journey J here on YouTube, and these are verbatim because I'm not paraphrasing. She said a soul tie is essentially a spiritual bond. You can have a soul tie with a person. You can have a soul tie with an animal. You can have a soul tie with places. You can pretty much have a soul tie or a bond with anything you develop an affinity towards. Okay? She went on to further develop, you know, her concept, and she said soul ties are created simply by conversation. Some soul ties are created by looks. Believe it or not, soul ties are created by any kind of physical intimacy. Emotional intimacy can create a soul tie. Okay, so that's what I got. And I want to talk more about Tony Gaskins. He shared something that was really kind of pivotal because I listened to his video about three times. And he touched on the topic of he would use physical intimacy, intercourse, as a way to have power over a woman. And so we have to be careful about how, when we are discussing like power dynamics, or, you know, how you surrender your power to the person that you're engaging in physical activity, like women, like I said, are often burdened with having to navigate that emotional labor. And it's like we absolve men of their responsibility. And we also, it's like we're sacrificing or surrendering our power. So we're rendered basically powerless. And so he went on to speak about during his time, he, like I said, would use intercourse to have power over a woman. And that could be seen in a lot of cases for many different men. And so women aren't in society, because we have social conventions, masculinity allows for men to be highly sexual, dominant, powerful, and so they can speak to those narratives. But women are the more emotional. They're the ones who have to do all the emotional labor and the navigating of the aftermath of a soul tie. Okay, so I'm gonna see what you all are saying, because you know, hey girl, thanks for bringing this up. I would like to understand this too. I first heard the term from my ex 4 years ago. He was very much into astrology and spirituality, not religion. Okay, and that's a perspective. Okay, I just got out of a toxic relationship. And we're gonna, so if you guys have questions, if you have something to add, don't be afraid. So anyway, I wanted to do more research on what people were saying about soul ties. And so if you do your Googles and you just search soul ties, the phrase soul ties, you are going to see things like it's a deep and emotional bond formed after intimacy. And it might change, you know, subsequently after having some sort of physical interaction. And then they talk about how to break a soul tie. And the ways in which they discuss breaking a soul tie: you acknowledge it, then you have to make a decision, you have to carve out a plan, an action plan on how you're going to kind of, I guess, because soul ties don't go away, so you sort of lessen and decrease their significance, their prominence in your life, so that you can enter into another soul tie with another person. And so to me, that sort of speaks more towards psychology, therapy, going to get counseling, and having a mental health professional allow you to navigate the reasons which you are attracted to a particular person, you know, your attachment style. Are you someone who is of a secure attachment? You know, did you grow up, you know, having a strong bond with, you know, your foundation, whether it's your parent, your guardian? Or were you someone who has a more anxious, more insecure kind of attachment style, and you need reassurance? You are constantly looking for validation. And hold on, I feel like a man would hurt from a soul tie more because they lose the power over that woman once she moves on. Men try to be so powerful at heart, they really hurt more than women when the relationship is over. See, I don't know. So like, so are we viewing intercourse as like, because the Bible speaks about a covenant, which is an agreement. So they speak about a covenant in terms of friendship. They speak about a covenant in terms of marriage. And the covenant that you have with God, that is the only indication of a spiritual connection that is outlined in the Bible. Everything else is a covenant where you become one in flesh when you are married. And a covenant of friendship, as we saw with Jonathan and David, but that wouldn't really too much apply here, but it can have some basis. So for me, I think that the way in which we are marketing soul ties, again, it's allowing men to have an incredible amount of power. Their voice is the predominating, you know, influence within this entire realm. And again, that patriarchal agenda where you are assigning that dominance, that prevailing voice, and that power over women. And so I don't like, you know, the undertone of rendering women powerless in a covenant, in a connection, because again, sexual immorality, you know, anything outside of the confines of marriage, that is fornication, that is in sin. And so for me, as someone who does believe in God, but again, I can look at the Bible, but then I can also kind of separate myself to really break it down, because again, the Bible is an interpretation by man. So I just see a lot of inconsistencies, and what I want us to kind of look more into is, like I said, the psychological aspect of understanding your attachment style. That Stockholm syndrome, like the reason why there are bad soul ties and people are looking to break soul ties, like sometimes people grow to love their abuser, they grow to love their aggressor. And so you see those same types of like patterns that could be perpetuated in your relationships, because again, are you of a secure attachment? Did you have a strong bond with your parent or your guardian growing up? You know, were you shown love or, you know, nurturing? And so we encounter, yes, life experience and codependency. I feel lost. I don't like this term soul ties. Do I believe there can be transfer of energy? But in my opinion, a period of celibacy can remove that energy. Maybe I don't understand the definition. And again, like, don't be afraid to do your homework, because I'm still growing in my understanding of soul ties. But again, from what I saw, I'm not in agreement with it. And I think sometimes we have like this subconscious fixation with trauma bonds. So again, like I said, that Stockholm syndrome. Why can't you learn to detach? And again, as we see throughout society, social norms allow for men to be viewed as the person within a partnership, now let's be a heteronormative tense, that men are able to detach. They are avoidant. And again, like, we need to kind of diversify that women and men, and just in a non-binary sense to include everybody, like, they can occupy any part of that spectrum. And so let's not fall for the hype, the propaganda, because again, we have to look at, like I said, I think soul tie is kind of like born in the same kind of context of like virginity. Virginity is a man-made concept. It's a social construct. It's like this abstract idea, and literally, they're men choosing women a pure womb of which to have children with, to marry. And like, who has to deal with those implications? Who has to navigate that space? Like, that shaming, that sexual health, sexual identity. If you don't conform to this social convention or construction, then you're out of line. And so that's divisive. And among women, we're viewing each other like, well, oh, you're not a virgin, or you're not celibate, or you're engaging in intercourse. And then it makes you look, you can be shamed, you can harbor a sense of guilt, all because of this. I'm not sure if Tony Gaskins was a good example. He talks about soul ties all the time in different contexts. He's actually about to go live at 8:30. Perfect. But one of the things that I will say is, I did my Googles and I wanted to see some of the first people who popped up. And like I said, I want to see what's relevant, because these people were able to capture the certain amount of, search engine optimization to where people are frequenting these websites. So I just wanted to make sure I'm in tune with what Google is populating, because that means if you're on the front page of Google, that means people are clicking on your stuff. Okay. So again, if you type in soul ties, you're going to see some of the same things that I saw. Lovely, please. I'm not sure. Okay, so let me see. I like your obvious. Let me see. Thank you for reading my comment. I didn't think about. Well, So I was raised Baptist and believing in Jesus, but man has had so much influence in the Bible, and the Bible was used as a tool during slavery, so I question the validity of it at times. Okay, and that's the thing. You can question the validity all the time, but again, it's okay to challenge it, also to accept it. And that's it. So if you guys have something to add, do you believe you suffer from a soul tie? Do you believe it's hard to break? And so is it fair to say that a soul tie is something that we can, speak up in the context of like physical intimacy? Have you developed a soul tie outside of that realm? Like, I want to hear from you guys. I don't think it's only sexually transmitted, but the attachment you have to someone mentally as well can cause a soul tie. Granted, there may be different levels to it, but that's just my opinion. So I do think that you can have and that's the thing, like, the way that you all say soul tie, I can see an emotional connection, but for the most part, I'm not sure that I'm willing to kind of address like the spiritual connection, because the only spiritual connection, the covenant that is outlined in the Bible, is between man and God. That spiritual connection that connects the two. The covenant also that's outlined in the Bible is between marriage. And again, you see friendship, but again, I'm not sure that applies. And so, like I said, with the whole transmitting energies through through intercourse. Like, why is it always spoken of in terms, like people are losing things, they're losing parts of themselves when they are engaging in intercourse? And I don't like that illusion. I don't like that illustration, the word used, because again, like, language is a tool, and when we are in a position to be very careful about the language that we use, I'm not sure, like, the context of saying that either individual is losing anything when they are engaging in some sort of intimacy, some sort of physical intimacy. I think we have to be more realistic, in situations where it is a choice, where it is consensual, that is the agreement. Again, people make money off of, you know what I'm saying, like the business of escorting, sex workers, like, and I don't condemn these people, but let's be real, this is how people are making their living. I know somebody mentioned that escorts don't kiss people because a soul tie is real. To me, I've never heard that. If anyone can speak to that, then maybe you could go and share more, but that sounded very outlandish to me. But again, I'll do some more research to see. Can a soul tie be either positive or negative? So to anybody who believes in soul ties, do you believe it's positive or negative? Hey, Auntie, I'm late, but I'm here. How you doing, y'all? She said, oh, only fake deep people believe in soul ties. Okay, that's a little extreme, because I don't want to, I'm not here to, discourage people from believing in what they believe in, but help me understand where you're coming from. Because I want to understand. And when you speak of soul ties and there's like this, the energy that is exchanged, there's some sort of loss associated. How are you in the process of gaining that back? How do you regain that? Like, what does that look like? Yes, I remember the first time I felt a soul tie, and I believe it's a combination of sex and relationship, having intimacy as well as sex. I believe when you open yourself up to be tied to a person. So do you believe that your faith, whatever you believe in, whether you believe in God, let's just say you believe in God, and you believe that your connection with a person is based on like intimacy, and that you are bound to that person, especially if it's not in a covenant of marriage? And because again, the only covenant that they acknowledge by means of flesh is through marriage. If you can cleanse your mind and heart, you can cleanse your soul. If you can cleanse your heart, if you can cleanse your mind, and heart, you can cleanse your soul. So, and that's the thing, like, so how are you connecting to your soul? Because I feel like that's in a realm, in a form where we do not communicate between each other. I believe the soul, if there is any communication, it's between the individual and their higher power that they believe in. I don't believe it's interpersonal between individuals. Child together and wait, hold on, what? Child together and he left us. I had to eventually move away from my hometown to get away from that tie, to break that bond with him. I don't know if you said the whole thing. Soul ties don't exist. To me, it's a theory that people use to explain attachment. Shanice Washington, I think you're onto something. And I don't think a lot of people want to address their illegitimate like relationships, or their maladaptive tendencies, or how they are drawn to people who they perceive to be good for them. Like, again, people who find themselves in relationships with narcissists, people who are manipulative. What is your, like, what in your formative years had, influenced the way that you attach yourself to other people? I strongly believe in soul ties. This is why I'm celibate. Okay. Okay. So, does anyone know their attachment style? Because I think that will also be something to discuss. Are you aware of the different forms of attachment styles? Because you can occupy, it's like think of it as like a spectrum. You can occupy a certain percentage of a particular attachment style. It's not just like a monolithic type of quality. You can run the gamut. I believed I had a soul tie. It started emotionally, so I don't think it's always physical intimacy. I'm kind of still attached to that person no matter what I do. But I always thought it was strange that supposedly only women seem to experience this soul tie. Now, to be clear, in my findings and some of the YouTube videos that I saw, there are people who are indeed men can experience a soul tie as well. So I don't want to put it out there. I did find things where there are men who do admit to having soul ties, but I guess, and with respect to men, and their experience with soul ties, because society doesn't allow them to, this is what was out there, because society doesn't allow men to be vulnerable or to express themselves, so that suppression, they come off as like avoidant, dismissive, and detached, because again, that's a part of like the social norm for masculinity and like socialization. So that's what I saw. I just wanted a well-rounded idea, but yeah, think about it. Coming in late. What is the discussion about tonight? It's in the title. We're talking about soul ties. I think I'm an anxious attachment, but have become more avoidant, but definitely more anxious attachment. So, okay, so since you know your attachment style, so then what contributed to you, so what makes you believe that you have an anxious attachment? Because I want to speak more to that, because I feel like the more that we know how to identify how we attach ourselves to certain people, to better understand from a psychological, standpoint, I'm trying to be progressive with the combo, and as I digest questions and comments, I can say that just having sex doesn't attach you to a person, but you may be on to something with a maladaptive attachment. Yes, because I don't, like I said, we have situations where when we look at trauma bonds, people who develop, an affinity, admiration or some sort of love with their aggressor, their abuser, their perpetrator. So these are people who are, and again, people will look at them like, well, why do you love this person when they've done this to you? And it's like, we need to start to assess like the psychological aspect, the formative years, how, like, what did it look like in your youth that may have contributed to, were you abandoned? Was the person who showed you love also the person who was your aggressor? So, and again, that is going to perpetuate itself throughout your life if you do not seek some sort of psychotherapy, life coach. I mean, some people have life coaches that they consult. So again, it's about learning how to navigate your emotions, learning how to understand how your experience shape your reality and your attachments to other people. Some people are more prone to get attached than others. I do believe that. It can be good or bad. It depends on the person. So yes, I do believe that some people are prone to getting more attached than others. That is very true. That is very true. When I had a soul tie before, I literally started mirroring some of the things that person did. I even started talking like them. So so one of the things that I did read with soul ties is there's like this obsessive component, and like you start to obsess about them. But that's something that you may find in like an incel, like someone who is obsessed with someone online. You may find that in, I don't want to say the term, but like serial, KILL, people who have obsessive compulsive disorder, addictive personalities. You can find those same things. But why are you allowing yourself to mirror them? And like, are you understanding that? Because are you mirroring that person under the pretense that like that is what you need to feel whole? Because again, like this concept of when you have this sexual exchange, you're exchanging energies and you're exchanging pieces of yourselves, that I completely disagree with. Because again, are you going into a relationship as a whole person, or are you going in with having your own pre-existing void? Like, what is your foundation? The person that told me this was very religious. Oh, hold on, let me. The person that told me this was very religious, although I believe she was coming from a good place. And so you know what? Let's take it a little bit further. Let's think about persons who like, and let's think about the messages that we send to young girls, like, because I want to segue, because I said we were going to talk about like virginity and like that whole social construct, and how when we talk to young girls, because again, that sexual health component I wanted to tap into, when we talk to young women or we talk to young adults and we say your body is a temple, like we're objectifying women. So think about how that is, and then also think about, and this may challenge a lot of people's thinking in this live, because again, I do believe that I am very open to various different ways of thinking, and I accept the collective. So we're always speaking in a heteronormative sense. It's not inclusive. And so again, thinking of the collective when we have that conversation. So again, when you're telling a young girl your body is a temple, be careful who you lay down with. And so are we talking to women as if they have agency, full agency over their body, if they have full autonomy, like understanding their power? Because I think from a very young age, like we start to instill and sort of ingrain in young women especially, like we use language that kind of lends to this idea that we aren't the ones who have power, and it's that we are the person who we allow inside of us has the power. We ourselves don't hold it. And so I think that mixed messaging, it can be very, very harmful. So just being careful how you speak to young women, young Black women especially, and sort of arm them with confidence about their sexual health, their sexual identity, and making them feel as if whatever decision that they make, they have the power, but allow them to grow in their understanding of themselves and their understanding of their body, how they may attach themselves to other people, which is very indicative of their upbringing. So you know what I'm saying? If you're speaking to your daughter about how she has, how she interacts with another individual, and like, but you aren't nurturing to her, if you are dismissive and avoidant, understand that that's going to impact how your child interacts with someone else. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You want them to be nurturing, but you've never demonstrated that. You want them to, conduct themselves a certain way. However, the ways in which you demonstrated, how to govern your body, how to conduct yourself, that's also going to have an influence, because children, it's a combination of what you tell them and what they see. It's never just ultimately what you tell them. It's also what they see and they experience. Let's look at this through a scientific point of view. So when we have sex, we produce a feel-good hormone, oxytocin. When women produce it more than men, so they might be more likely to start having feelings. So are we saying that just because we produce a certain hormone at a rate that is higher than that of a man, that somehow is an indicator of our ability to be connected to a person, to develop feelings? That part, that's why I feel like that's when we start to mess up. And to be honest with you, you could release all the oxytocin, are you getting the big O? Because a lot of women out here aren't satisfied. And I'm just saying, you can go research that as well. Okay, we can go research that as well. You're speaking so much truth. I grew up with an aggressive father figure, and I grew up scared and super anxious. Okay, so to speak more, like I said, to that anxious attachment style. So I'm gonna read something that I found on Psychology Today. An anxious, preoccupied attachment feels that in order to get close to someone and have their needs met, they have to be with their partner all the time to get reassurance. And so to support this perception of reality, they choose someone who is isolated and hard to connect with. You gotta understand. who were your models of what love, nurture, and nurture look like? Because then if you understand that, and then you also work to develop a better relationship with your emotions and the way that you attach yourselves to people, unlearning that. Oh, hold on, let me. Across societies, we see that young men are given more agency over their sexual life. Yep, talk to that. The message to young women is to make good choices based on the way they are brought up, as opposed to lock it up. Yeah, and you know what? That's a great point, and I love that point that you made. And this goes back to like what I talked about in the live stream last week. Mothers are raising their daughters and loving their sons, and so think about the impact that has when your child goes out and how they begin to foster or facilitate a relationship with someone else. What does that look like? And again, there are so many messages, and those messages have a like an undertone, and it reeks of women not having the ability to discern between their emotions. Like they can't communicate like between their emotions and their mind. Like it's like women are just overly emotional. Men have all the rationale. They are of sound mind and judgment. Well, we know that's the first thing from the case. This conversation is so healthy and needed. Thank you. I'm glad that you know what I'm saying. I'm trying here. I am not an expert. I just wanted to open myself up and again remain as receptive as possible, and just let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. And I just think that soul ties is, people are trying to use biblical text to give to define an emotional connection and to somehow rationalize acts of sin or sexual immorality or fornication of some sort. So how many of us are engaging in premarital sex? Okay, like, and think about from a religious standpoint the shame associated with that and how people will cast judgment based on how you conduct yourself. But like again, autonomy and agency over your body. Like, what are we speaking to? That's good. I have never had a father, and my mother is always very controlling, mean, and aggressive. Oh my God. Turned out who I find myself attracted to. I am on the healing journey, and man, it is difficult. And how many people here are like, you may be religious and you are getting therapy, or maybe you're not religious but you believe in therapy? Because I talked about this in my last live stream. Like in the church setting, sometimes we see or we hear things about praying it away. We don't really advocate for mental health and mental awareness and seeking the help of a mental health professional. We haven't quite normalized that across religions. And again, if you look at religion as a whole, and like if you look at the church, there's a lot of corruption and there's a lot of mixed messages, and there's also a lot of hypocrisy between churchgoers. So being very careful about what you choose to consume and accept and apply to your life. I believe in therapy, recognizing triggers. Beautiful. I love your use of the recognizing triggers and picking the right partner. Okay, I love that. I love that. I think emotional ties are different from what people identify as a soul tie. I'm not sure I can define what a soul tie is. Yeah, I think I'm not, and I won't say emotional ties because again, you're not bound in any respect. And that's the thing, like you are not bound. And I don't believe that in Christianity, God would speak to you being bound to another individual due to physical intimacy or some sort of intimacy or intimate relationship. I don't believe that is in line with a Christian belief. Totally believe in therapy, and I'm not religious. I'm a believer. Okay. We talk about mental health a lot at my church. Okay, and I like, you know what, I think that's great. Because again, there are people who believe in praying it away, and there are people who are very much receptive and also speak to, positive, you know, experiences with therapy. In youth meeting at church, I often see the lack of conversation and more of condemnation. We're putting these young folks in jail before we even know if they're committed a crime. It irks my spirit. So I think that is very much, yeah. And you know what? Be careful. Okay, so and with that, I want to say, I think about mothers who have had a past of their own, right? They've maybe they had premarital sex, they had a child out of wedlock, and they are so much harder on their daughters as a consequence. So you see them being very hostile, being very aggressive about the type of language that they use when they talk about dating. They may have a tight rein, a tight leash, tight control over their daughters, especially, and they allow their sons to kind of like run free, because men are often afforded the ability to explore, to dabble, to experience, and women, we have to be very cautious, we have to be very careful, we have to, because again, and like, so what do we have to be so careful of? Because we are speaking to men being able to have that power, that ability to control, because we give them the liberty of being able to run free, while women are under such control. They are confined. There's so many restrictions. And I know mothers oftentimes, based on their own experiences, they will shield and or shelter their children as a consequence, because they don't want them to repeat certain things. And then when they see certain behaviors, it's like, are you doing this? Are you know what I'm saying? So we have to be very careful, very, very careful. That's my mother, and now I'm a single mother of one whose father is a musician, now living in Texas and married. Wait, this is confusing. That's my mother now. That's my mother, and now I'm a single mother of one whose father is a musician, now living in Texas and married. Ooh, the choices I made due to my mother's parenting. I was shielded. Okay, I was too shielded. Think about that. Think about that. Soul ties, your body is your temple and nothing else. Will make sense to anyone who don't either believe in the word of God or don't have a godly revelation of God's word. Okay. And if that's what you believe, that's it. If it works for you. I think people feel bound though in unhealthy relationships. I think that's why they call it an emotional tie or a soul tie. When it's unhealthy, I think it feels bound. That's a good little aspect. And like I said, we're speaking to unhealthy relationships, like trying to justify our actions within the context of an unhealthy relationship. And again, you have to, why are you even in an unhealthy relationship? What were you ignoring? We talk so much about red flags, and like we sort of normalize dysfunction and chaos. How many of us have grew up in dysfunctional, very chaotic, sometimes traumatic households? And how does that shape your view of a potential partner? How does that allow you to conduct yourself in relation to, when you are not even just looking for a partner, but when you are out among people? Because a lot of us have that insecure sort of attachment style, very, very distrustful of others. You harbor, so maybe you don't trust yourself. So man, let me see. I've had to educate myself on sex because all my parents told me was don't have sex before marriage. Do you believe in God? Yes. I've had to educate myself on sex because all my parents told me was don't have sex before marriage. I have always been someone, I've done videos about this in the past. You could check my channel. I have always advocated for arming, especially Black women, to you have to be very careful about the messages and the language that you use. Arm Black women with the resources and necessary information that they need. Don't tell them what they should not do and what they ought not to do. Like, arm them with the ability to choose. Empower them to feel comfortable making a choice as it relates to their body. Don't objectify them early in life. Instill within them that they have agency over their body. That talk to them about consent. Talk to them about, you know, protection. Talk to them about getting tested. Don't tell them what not to do, because then you find that, again, there's that maladaptive behavior, and there's also, when you tell someone what to do, they'll do the opposite. So you tell them, don't date, don't go out, don't do this, don't do that, and you put such a tight, you know, shield on them, you shelter them, they go out and do the very thing that you told them not to do. And especially, you know what I'm saying, when you telling your child, don't do this, don't date, don't do that, and like, they realize that you had them when you were like 16. And so like, think about how that, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a teenage mother, but think about how that mixed messaging. So be careful about how you are funneling this information and presenting it to young Black girls especially, because you don't want there to be shame, you don't want there to be guilt, and you don't want these young Black girls out here operating and conducting themselves with like an air of secrecy, because they feel like they can't confide in you because you've created like a certain level of shame around certain activities, so they won't come to you. And so they'll seek, you know, that validation from someone else, or they'll consult someone else and kind of completely remove you from their decisions. Me too. My mom never talked to us about sex, period. About sex periods, anything dealing with our bodies. I had to learn from my older sisters. Okay? Don't have children out of wedlock. No conversations about sex. Don't have children out of wedlock. No conversations about sex and partnership. And my household was pretty toxic. Okay. And then when you speak to don't have sex, learn from me on what not to do. Wait, Jose. Me too. My mom never talked to us about. Okay, I'll tell you right now. So let me hell, my mom gave me an encyclopedia and said, if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, what does that mean? Please let me know what that means. That's intense. That's intense. I feel like when you're talking to your children, you have to explain why you're saying it, and you can't just say, don't do it. You should suggest and not demand. I love that. Suggest, and you can always offer your advice, but understand that ultimately your child is going to make a decision for themselves, and you have to be comfortable. Like, because you can feel you did everything right, and your child is still, they could still find themselves in a compromising situation. But it doesn't mean they can't gain their footing. It doesn't mean that they can't become a better person. It doesn't mean that they can't learn from their mistakes. Allow people the space to learn who they are. Give them the ability to explore. Arm them with the confidence to explore, because sheltering young Black women, when you contribute to them having a narrow mind, them being underdeveloped emotionally, not having that low emotional intelligence, so when they can't articulate themselves, when you allow them to disconnect from their emotions, and so they're operating either in impulse, and so how are they navigating, again, that discourse, you know, as it relates to their body, any shame that they're feeling? How do they cope with shame when they're disconnected from their emotions? How does that internalize itself and manifest in the body? Besides therapy, do you think there's a way to remove the emotional bond or attachment from someone? Listen, besides therapy, so here's the thing. What I want people to do is, when you normalize therapy, you normalize conversation, and you normalize your understanding that you don't possess the tools. And then once you have that interaction with your therapist, your psychologist, psychiatrist, you start to learn what tools you were missing. And so then in your daily life, you look at your routine, how you conduct yourself, the things that were dysfunctional and chaotic, you unlearn those things. So I believe therapy is sort of like a vehicle where you can Gain the tools that maybe your parents didn't get you, and so you can apply what you're learning in that setting into your life because you didn't already have it. Are there other ways to deal with an emotional connection? Possibly, but why want to deal with something on your own? I don't want to normalize struggling with something internally, not and consulting another person who you believe can be a source of encouragement or advise you or be a source of like counsel. Don't go to another person who you may not really be 100% sure of their qualifications. Go to someone who is qualified and allow yourself to go through that process. Don't consult someone else just by optics. You believe that they have certain tools or because how they live their life, because you see the outward representation of that, but what does it look like on the inside? So be careful about the advice that you accept from other people. But again, I think therapy is a really good avenue to dissect things internally. I have a question. What forms of attachment are involved in this supposed soul tie? Uh, so, I mean, when you're looking at like an emotional connection, so if someone has a soul tie, I guess, or a strong emotional connection, I would say that that's someone who doesn't have a secure attachment, because someone who has a secure attachment can function independently. They give their partner space. They understand that how their needs can be met and how they can meet the needs of their partner. Now, someone who's a bit more anxious, someone who is anxious avoidant, that combination, that's where you start to see people needing that reassurance, people having sort of like these, not obsessive, but like sort of extreme qualities. They need to be around you all the time. They have to call you. They need that reassurance that this bond, like, you know what I'm saying, that it's actually real, that it's actually substantial in it has some sort of validity. But again, this is a person who wasn't affirmed, potentially using positive models and a good balance of seeing like reciprocity. So they're doing a lot of work. They're doing a lot of the emotional labor. They're doing sometimes the physical labor associated with maintaining a relationship, because again, they need that reinforcement. So that overactivity. Women aren't the only ones that have attachments. Oh, of course, men are also taught to be virgins, though it isn't stressed as much. Can anybody discuss that? I told my mom when I lost my virginity. She didn't believe me because my family thought I was a good girl. She cried and said she cried and I said just kidding, and she was relieved. Wow. So okay, so you continue to like you lied about it. So like that's how you covered it up, because of her response. See there, that's that shame component I was talking about. We all know men are not encouraged to be virgins at the rate women are, though. Okay, a concept. Oh, okay. I'm in here. We having this conversation. If you're enjoying it, make sure you hit that thumbs up button just to let me know that you appreciate it. And again, I love hearing from you guys. So again, if you enjoyed this live, wow, it definitely manifests as stress and depression. I can say that as I am coming out of intensive therapy and fighting depression, it's highly wrapped around relationship. I'm still fighting to express. Even if you didn't get attention when you were younger, give yourself the attention now. Happiness can never come from someone else. Oh, yes. And like I said, this idea that you can find yourself within someone else, I need you to be 100% whole before you even look for anything else. And that's why, to be honest with you, like, let's normalize therapy before we even get into a relationship. Let's address our childhood trauma, even though it could be as insignificant, little stints that you've had here and there, but also let's like normalize it at any level. So if you have like a minor stint, to those who may have more of a traumatic childhood experience, because all of them are valid. We got to look at the entire spectrum. So let's normalize therapy as as once we are an adult, young adult, or whenever you believe that you need it, so that that discourse, that healthy dialogue around your mental health is there. And then when you begin to, if you pursue a partner in any capacity, like, you have tools, you have a strong foundation, you are able to, navigate those thoughts on a psychological level. You can address certain things, and you're not unpacking your mess with your partner because you never had therapy, you never even thought about it. And you also want to know your partner's thoughts on therapy as well. What does your partner think about therapy? Because when things get hard, are they going to abandon you? Are they going to be avoidant and dismissive? You got to think about that. Now I'm older. Hold on, I have enough childhood trauma to fill a cargo plane. Oh my God, my fiance is the only person who knows I was molested as well. Oh my God, thank you for, feeling, comfortable being open about something like that. That is definitely something that can be extremely traumatic. And if you don't believe that you can confide in your family, the shame, the stress, and how that manifests, and how that may have influenced how you conducted yourself among your peers, or when you were, interacting with a potential partner. I'm so glad you have that safe place. And again, this is a very safe place. If y'all want to go there, y'all know. Don't say anything you don't feel comfortable, but if you feel comfortable sharing, you know what I'm saying? It's safe. We're going to make space. I did, let me see. You are so intelligent, Queen. You know what? I appreciate your comments here, Austin, but I also realize that I still have a lot of work to do, as far as just like sharpening my mind and just staying aware. I have a lot of work to do. And then again, I'm not the smartest person that I know, so that's a beautiful thing. So I'm always in a position to learn, and I'm open to learning. I learn from you guys. I'm very much into speaking the truth, but when people have a hard time hearing the truth, I won't force it. I leave them in their own mind to think what they want. Again, I think that's great. Because in the same way that we can make space for people to share their emotions, to share their experiences, and to show us exactly who they are, we don't have to remain in that space once we realize this person is dismissive, this person is in denial, this person has things that they haven't unpacked. You can go. You can go. And also, be aware of attaching yourself to a relationship. Like I said, because you believe, like, finding yourself within this person because you're in some ways not whole. This person makes you whole. So we got to be careful about that. You want to make sure you're good before you venture out. I'm new here and love this convo. Thank you, M.Y. Carter. Thank you. Sorry, Pink, but sometimes you will be unpacking mess in front of your partner. Oh, agreed. Now I'm older and she wonders why I never talk to her about anyone I'm feeling and wants to play the friend card. I couldn't talk to her then and I don't now. Well, what do you mean, Alima? Y'all, you know what? I mean, now I'm older and she wonders why I never talk to her about anyone I'm feeling and wants to play the friend card. I couldn't talk to her then. And yeah, you know what? This is the truth. Assess who you confide in. And energy vampires are real. Some people don't want to see you happy. Some people don't want you to know your potential. Some people want you to stay stagnant. Because then, as long as they can be ahead of you in the race, they still win. So be careful. You can't confide in everybody. And also, get real good at reading the room. Because not everybody that is in the room, you occupy the same place. It does not mean that they're your friend. And you have to sharpen your mind to really understand. Not everybody's your friend. Not everybody is your friend. They don't have your best interest at heart. And people will try to sabotage your situation. And if you're not mentally strong enough, oh my God, the manipulation, people will exploit you. They will run circles around you way before you even realize it. Yes, read the room. It took me too long to learn. But the good thing is you learned it. Stagnant waters stink. Keep it pushing. God should complete you. And if he has someone for you, he will send them in the right time. Amen. Amen. I was definitely not emotionally sound before meeting my now fiance. LOL. I was also inexperienced. I'm thankful that he's been supportive and understanding all these years. Of course. Of course. Of course. And we have to, and I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by inexperienced, because inexperienced would mean, like, does it mean that there's like some sort of like subconscious standard that exists? You, at whatever level you are good enough, and that's what I want. You don't have to be active in any capacity on the sexual spectrum. You could be exploring. You are justified in every right. You could have had a traumatic experience and you abstain completely because you have those triggers. I want you to address those triggers, because you deserve to address those triggers and overcome those with the appropriate tools and help from a qualified mental health professional. But again, no matter where you are, whether you are a virgin, you are celibate, or you are exploring, or you are in the realm of just casually dating and you do your thing and you have complete autonomy and agency over your body, and you operate with your health at the forefront. I'm saying get tested with your partners, okay? I'm not out here, I said this many times, I think it is detrimental to speak to abstinence and you don't tell Black women their options. You have so many options. If you choose to abstain, I understand. But in the event that you find yourself in a situation, this is what I want you to do. These are the this is what I want you to do. I'm sorry. These are the things that are available to you. And feel comfortable and confident exploring each and every avenue, because Black women deserve to know that they have choices, they have options, and they should be confident in making a choice. Surround yourself with people that can inspire you and can support you. Amen. Right? Very big. I've learned to become happy within myself once I gave my life to the Lord, which definitely has helped with my marriage in the past 10 years. Amen. And how many people in here are married? Like, is this a married, am I talking to the married crew? Is anyone in here single, dating, mingling? But I got so many notes. I just want to make sure I touched on things. Let me see. Single gang. I'm single and 52. Married for 10 years. Come this September, it'll be 11. Single over here, dating. I know who dating during the quarantine. Lord. Oh, divorced. Oh, okay. Okay, and how are you doing? Quasima, am I saying that right? Abstinence just isn't realistic, especially in poverty-stricken areas. Ooh, a word. Somebody said big single. I'm so upset when y'all say big single. I love that term. I love it, big single. It's agreed. Okay, so Selena said abstinence just isn't realistic, especially in poverty-stricken areas where other forms of entertainment are too expensive. Okay. What are we saying on that? Because when we are assessing poverty, when we are assessing sexual health, sexual education, because what does the sexual education curriculum, what does that sexual health model look like? And is it adapted for poverty-stricken neighborhoods that are, and I'm speaking to neighborhoods that are predominant, not saying that all poverty-stricken neighborhoods have a demographic of only Black, but in neighborhoods that are poverty-stricken, low income, working class, when we have Black people, what resources are available to them? Is there a Planned Parenthood? What is in the immediate area? Where are condoms accessible on school grounds? What does that look like? And so what are we speaking to? And then when you have, children who latchkey kids who come home from, school, and it's literally no parents home. And we don't know the dynamic that the parents, they could be working, they could be, they could not be present. They could sometimes parents just take flight, or there could be drug use. So we have to look at all those different elements and be very realistic. Do I believe that it is possible to be celibate? Yes. But again, we have to understand our place of privilege in that poverty, capitalism, racism, disparities in access to quality health care and sexual health education. We have to understand that. So we have to understand our privilege in that. But should it be, available? Yes. However, it's not. Oh, and somebody said, I'm happy to be here with you guys the day before my birthday. A good talk. Oh, okay, Janae. Miss Beckford, happy B-Day. Thanks for identifying the correlation between poverty and abstinence. This is definitely, I don't think people talk about, sexual health and how it has to be adjusted in a poverty-stricken neighborhood or community, and what that looks like. What languages are the teachers using? Have they adjusted it? Have they got in touch with the core demographic? You know what I'm saying? Speak to these children to understand, like, what are they being exposed to? What information are they, ascertaining about, like, sexual health? What images are they seeing? What media are they consuming? Because again, I told y'all in one of my videos, a few years back, the top demographic that utilizes social media, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, young Black teenagers, and young Black women especially. So we have to be very careful. People tell you to get birth control or condoms. Have you seen the price of condoms, and do they have other outlets besides sex? Are they getting attention at home? All things matter. Yes. But that's why I said, like, so in a school setting where they are teaching about sexual health, I believe that they should have resources available. So actual, you can have dental dams, okay, women, if you know what I'm saying, you can have condoms, and you can have so much more. You can have information on Planned Parenthood. Again, just allowing children to understand the power of choice at a very young age and making them confident in making that decision. So it's a lot of things to unpack with this. So to anyone who has children, listen to your children. Their concerns are valid. And you may not want your child to make a similar mistake to you, but allow them to learn. Allow them the free will to become who they are destined to become, because you can't control who they become ultimately, especially when they separate from you. And then understand the harm that you may do by trying to kind of like restrict them and influence them or force them to follow your code of conduct and all of that. I haven't had sex in so long. What's the price of condoms today? I mean, it depends. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got a whole little cocktail. So it depends on what you're trying to do. Like, are you trying to... Because I believe that women should always, you know what I'm saying? I'm speaking from a cishet woman, you know what I'm saying? If you are out here, you know what I'm saying, make sure you have your collection of goodies, whatever it is. Make sure you protect yourself and get tested. Know the status of your partner. Stop. I don't want to say stop, but like, can we normalize getting tested before we even have sex? Yeah, before you even have any type of like oral intercourse or sex. Like, can we normalize that? Know your status and agree to have the results shared in front of each other. Okay. Get tested together and have the results read together in front of each other, so we know. Because there's a lot of men scared to get tested because they don't want to know, and that's a topic for another day. Ladies who are looking for birth control, do your research and then check GoodRx for discounts. But we also got to be careful about birth control as well. There are so many YouTube videos on birth control. I really need y'all know your options and utilize these interwebs. Use India Ari's internet, because there's a lot of information on here. Okay, And see, with the internet, kids are going to learn a lot. Kids are going to learn a lot. This is a good combo, Pink. I commend you for it. We all can learn something from each other and see others' point of views. Honestly, we all trying to figure out this love relationship thing out. Of course. See, because we can have a conversation. I'm not going to bash anybody. That's not my style. If I believe there's an inconsistency, I'm going to talk about it. But we can move past it, and we'll have a good time. Before I am involved with any man sexually, we both have to get tested. Normalize it, period. It's important to know your status. People are out here infecting each other left and right. Ain't nobody worth that, okay? No one is worth that. No one is worth your sexual health and your security, your sense of mind. Like, nobody is worth that. I don't want my son to be in sex ed. I didn't want my son to be in sex ed. However, I talked with them and had his father talk to him. Why didn't you want your children to be in sex ed? Like, did you review the curriculum? Like, what? Like, why did you take that stance? Were you opposed to a certain subject being addressed in the classroom setting? Did you not feel like the facilitator, the teacher, was qualified? Did you get a copy of the textbooks to see what kind of language would be would be in there? Because do you feel like you, as a parent, had the tools to kind of navigate that conversation? Let me know. I believe parents should be the first ones to talk to their kids before the school system. Oh. Okay. And at what age? I don't have kids, but what age are you supposed to start talking to kids? Grade 3 is too early. Now, I have never heard of that, but again, we have to bear in mind we do not know what children are exposed to. And so we have to be very careful. I would have to think about that. What age should we start to discuss it? Grade 3, a lot has probably changed since I've been in since 3rd grade. It's been a long time. Parents should, but they aren't talking to them. And like I said, in Canada, they did that here. I wonder what sex ed in the school systems are like nowadays. Valid point. I appreciate you saying my name correctly. I'm good from my divorce, but I have not dated since the pandemic. Do y'all believe you're missing anything if you're not dating in the pandemic? And I'm glad I said your name right. Anybody going on like Skype dates, Zoom dates? Ooh. She said my name. I agree, Quasima. She said my name correctly too. You're not missing anything not dating in the pandemic. Ooh. Does anybody have any dating horror stories? Quarantine. In these quarantine streets. I did review it because of a certain subject. I didn't want him in the class. Back then, sex ed was different. A child is raised by nature and nurture, so choose which you're going to allow to raise your child, you or their environment. What would be safe sex during this pandemic? What you mean would be safe? I get stared at a lot, but nobody is asking me out. Ooh. I need a man to be able to, she says, smell me and feel my essence. Child Skype dates are not it. A lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are adjusting to the times. Okay, if you're not on Skype, you're doing like a FaceTime date, I guess, if it applies. Like if you have that kind of, if you got an iPhone or an iPad. The energy is different, and to me, if you're dating during quarantine, it can end up giving like pen pal vibes, or like, you know what I'm saying, like Skype energy, like that internet dating kind of feel. So you gotta be, girl, they be scary online, you know what? And what are y'all talking about online? Like, so what's your favorite color? Y'all asking about each other's colors? You don't know who behind the screen. Okay. Kissing. What about dating people you work with? I want to know if anyone has done that. So I would say don't do it. It changes the energy. I'm not saying I never dated anyone that I worked with. Um, but you know what I'm saying? That'll be another story time that I do later on in life. But you're not supposed to date people that you work with. Don't date people that you. Can you milk it? You know what I'm saying? Could you milk it? You know, if you get my vibe, could you milk it? Potentially. But you got to figure out if you're strong enough mentally and emotionally to navigate that. But it is too much drama. I actually met my boo online on accident. After a year of dating, he flew me to his country. Wait, a year of dating, girl? He flew me to his country, and the rest is history. I don't knock online friendships or relationships for that reason. Okay. Okay, if it's working for you. Never date people you work with. It's a recipe for disaster. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, don't do it. And especially because a lot of times people will have, like they'll keep their whole family secret. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful. I agree. Don't play where you work or live. Dating somebody that's been my follower for years. Wait, what? You've been dating somebody that's been... Did y'all meet? Like, did y'all meet? Dating somebody that's been my follower for years. That's interesting. I agree. Don't play where you work or where you live. Okay. Dating guys from the gym. Ooh. Ooh. I mean, so, like, are you trying to milk it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you, like, how are you trying to do it? Like, because, I mean, you can give the illusion of dating, but, like, you know what I'm saying? If you have, like, an agenda, like, if you have a plan, like, you know what I'm saying? If you're just trying to get, like, training sessions, like, you know what I'm saying? You can figure, it's slippery slope. But, you know what I'm saying? Be careful. It all depends on the end goal. Don't date guys from the gym. Why is the gym off limits? Yes, girl, they are all fine. They only stare. Yes, she was my follower on IG. Did a virtual date and 2 physical dates. First date was at the park, and the second date was in Connecticut. Was that in Connecticut? Where outdoor restaurants are open. Okay. I got the gym. These men come to the gym to play games. But you know what? I need you to be real with yourself. In the same way that you come to the gym, there are like tons of people, like you coming to the gym. So just understand that, like, it could be you and like 20 other. It could be you and 10 others. It could be you and like 3 others. And y'all could all be a secret. And I mean, you know what I'm saying? This is how people could be moving out here. So, you know what I'm saying? It's a slippery slope. You got to be careful with how you navigate. So, always be careful. Always be careful. All but one of my exes are people I met at work. The reason is that is where I meet people. I am forced to be around them, and I get to know them that way. Never intentionally, it just happens. But you don't go outside of work. I don't know if that's a healthy way of date. I don't know if that's a healthy way of dating and like meeting potential partners. But just because you're in close proximity, that can be very tricky. It can change the element, the dynamic at work. It can create a hostile environment, which is also AKA harassment. So you got to be careful about that. And are you comfortable going to HR? Because what we do around here is we get real cool with HR. We document and record everything. We screenshot. We do all of that stuff. Are you ready for that? Because if you're going to be about it, be about it. But I don't think that you should be about dating where you work. I'm trying to tell you the devil can come in the name of the Lord. I have known people to date and ended up married. I'm engaged to a guy from work. We was friends for a year first. Okay. Okay. I love you. Wait, Bombay. Bombay and grape soda on the rocks in Brooklyn. Okay. Floor Rebel. I love your editing, by the way. Thank you. I thought dating men in the church would have been different than men in the world, but I found out real quick that they are no different. Thank God I never went farther than kissing. Ooh, who trying to find a man at church? Who found that man at church? Let your interests lead you. If you love animals, surround yourself with animal shelter. Wait, what? If you love to read, go to local book clubs. Yeah, like pay attention to your interests, but also don't be afraid to go outside of your comfort zone. So, have you gone to the country club? Would you do that? Would you consider doing that? Would you go to like a festival, but not like the festival, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not the conventional ones, like something that's completely outside of like what you typically do. Like, are you ready for that life? Because some festivals could be about it. Are you able to go to like these nice dinners, these nice events at these venues? Do you get invited? It depends. I love your hair. Thank you. Oh, I just like put some water on it and twisted it, and it just like it comes like this. I love church, but wouldn't date there. Ooh. Are there many men in the church these days? At my job is where I met my husband. We were married for 15 years. Oh my God. Are you guys like still working together, or what happened? They're there for healing. That's why they're there. Oh my gosh. No lie. My husband no lie, my husband came straight to my doorstep, almost like those fairy tale movies type ish. Wow. So many your husbands are just out here knocking on doors? I don't know, it seems hard to find a man at church that is truly saved. Ooh, what is truly saved? You know what? Once we realize that everybody is basically like out here sinning in some capacity, and that there are parts of them that they haven't addressed yet, and everyone falls short, it gets real interesting. Like, the church does not absolve people of like their sins. Like, they're still gonna be out here, or they still could be out here, trying to improve, but again, temptation, sin be knocking on the door, the devil. Pink, I'm going based off your last story time. How would your older self handle that situation now? Not the outcome, but from the beginning. Will you be more perceptive? Oh, to anybody who hasn't watched my latest video where I talk about where I was dating a married man, again, let's keep that in the context of I was 23, completely underdeveloped, and granted, I had started getting into the headspace of dating older men, but it was never someone that much older, so it was a learning curve. Okay. And also dating someone with a child, another learning curve, something I now know that you know what I'm saying, I'm like almost 30, so it's like, okay, boom, you're dealing with older men, so you have to think about that. But like now I'm dealing with like older men, like, you know what I'm saying, like not in the 30s, you know what I'm saying, like 40 plus and above, 41 and above. So looking back on it, I hate the fact that women like myself, or just anyone, you have to do so much investigating, and just people in general, you have to do a lot of investigating and vetting, and not so much investigating, I don't want to say that, but you have to vet the person that you are dealing with. And when you, like, I'm not going to say like always be on your toes, but people will surprise you. And after 3 months, you still may not know the person that you were dating, and be okay with that. Like, it could take you a long time to really believe that you know a person. And even then, you may not really know all of who they are. You meet their representative, and you may not meet their representative within 3 months, within 6 months. A lot of people, they want you to get really comfortable. And so I believe that I know, because I've, dated different people, I know what to look for. My eyes, my focus, I've sharpened like my understanding and my focus. And so I know what things to look for. I know what certain, what certain behaviors look like and what it could remind me of and how it could, you know, be a potential trigger. So I'm very much aware of those things. So you just want to be cautious and don't get too comfortable too quick. You can't. Some of these people out here act like they agents of the devil, for real. You don't know who you sleeping with at night. Ooh. Okay? You really don't. You really don't. I hope. I think that's when God's gonna send me my husband. My spirit keep telling me that. Some of the let me wait. When should women in their 20s go to find potential partners? Where should women in their 20s go to find potential partners? So okay, so boom, like, are you giving like city energy? Are you like in a rural area? Like, is everything like super far apart? Because my thing is, maybe consider like rooftop. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like rooftop. And also, like, what does your network look like? Like, are you connected to anyone who works at like a prestigious company? Like, what is your background and like, who are you around? Because you know what I'm saying, in your 20s, like, are you early 20s? Because you know what I'm saying, I was just stepping into the corporate world, so it depends on where you are. And do you feel comfortable? Like, I'm not going to the, like, if you're trying to meet like, you know, value, quality, I'm not going to the movies. I'm not going to the movies. I hate the movies, by the way. I'm not going to the movies. Rooftop situations, you know what I'm saying, overlooking the water, something where you have to dress up, you know what I'm saying, you know, business casual is kind of pushing it, like maybe like, you know, nice little dress, cocktail dress with a little bit more like something with is a dress code. Country club might, you know, 20, but it depends on your energy, because you could be 20 but you could have the vibe, you could have the mind, you could have the maturity. Early 20s, have fun, have your heart broken, learn, then date for the lifestyle you want. Yeah, I was, like I said, when I was 23, girl, I was out here having fun. I was never home. When I got my first apartment, I was never home. Oh, you know, so many memories. Manhattan, Brooklyn, Harlem. I'm so glad I'm calm now. I had quite a run. Is it okay for a woman to make the first move? If yes, what do you do if the response isn't what you're expecting? Well, why do you want to make the first move? Like, what is prompting you to want to make the first move? What is there reservation? Does it seem like there's reservation on the other person's behalf? What are you expecting them to do? Are you probably like being a little bit premature or kind of rushing things along potentially? I'm trying to understand your understanding so then I can give you like, but I don't want my ladies making the first move. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let these people court you. Let them court you. You don't want to do the labor. I'm not an advocate for women putting in excessive labor because then that's less work that, you know, the person you want to invest in you will do. So you gotta use your 20s for non-serious dating, career-focused traveling in general and all. Yeah, make sure you're traveling. Like, if you can travel, girl, travel. Travel and let them pay, because they will do it, and you don't have to do anything. That story time is coming as well. You don't have to do anything. Just, they might get mad, but you know what I'm saying. You can be out here. You can be traveling on somebody else's dime. Okay. They do that. He's expressed interest, and we have been talking for a bit, but he's talking too damn long. Or should I just jump ship? You know what? Okay, so here's what I want you to do, Cheryl. It seems like it's time for you to get busy, because maybe you've made yourself too available to him, and he could be potentially taking that for granted, or he could tell that you're very much invested, and so he's relaxing. So what I need you to do is get busy. Find some hobbies. This is a perfect time to invest your time into understanding yourself in a different way. So what else, what can you be improving right now? What's something that you want to work towards? Let's develop that self-care routine. You know what I'm saying? Let's put the focus back on you, because you're giving him a little bit too much. Or I mean, if it's a him, you're giving that person a little bit too much energy. Hobbies, activities are good. Yes, diversify your skill set. What skills do you want to hone? Do you want to change careers? Do you want a better job? What does that resume look like? Could we stand to do some improving in that aspect? I'll be in here fighting myself, because you know what? I can't let this year pass and I not do or completely pivot. You know what I'm saying? This is the period where you should consider pivoting, you know? I value these lives and open discussions in the chat. I enjoy taking in the advice. I wouldn't know unless I experienced it. Oh, I'm glad you enjoy the vibes and the lives, Brooke. In order for this to work, he needs to listen to you. Does he ever ask you questions? Everyone suggested dating around at 20, but I hated the idea of dating around. I don't know. Some people like dating around because it gains more experience. I think if you're right, I think you mentioned that you were inexperienced, so maybe you know your inexperience or your lack of confidence in that area is because of your ideas and your thoughts around dating around. Dating around doesn't mean that you are, you know, having intercourse or any level of intimacy physically with anyone. You could just be out here dating, multi-dating. It's easy to find out if a man is married. Look it up on his local county's clerk's. See, she giving you a lot. But again, I don't see, we are normalizing the fact that women have to do all of this work, and we need to speak more to the fact that men need to be held accountable and shouldn't be approaching other women if they are married in the first place. That's the problem. Why are we even in discussion when you got, you know what I'm saying, a whole family? If you go straight from no dating experience to full commitment, that makes you more vulnerable to manipulation and games. Oh, of course, because you have no baseline. You have nothing to base it off of. So definitely work on it. Build your confidence. This is a time to build your confidence. Like, be confident. Be confident. I'm in my early 30s. I have spent my 20s doing and trying to be things for other people. So now I am focused on me and my mental health. We like the sound of that. Put yourself first. Prioritizing yourself is not a selfish act. It is actually extremely selfless, because the better that you know yourself, the better that you can articulate that and communicate that to people that you encounter who intend to occupy your space, or that you allow to occupy your space. Thoughts or tips on dating online? Girl, I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Pray. You know, if you're religious, pray, because it's tough out there. I don't know what the people are doing. Don't develop that pen pal vibe. You know what I'm saying? Don't develop that pen pal vibe where you're doing all that text and emails. I feel like that's dangerous territory, and we don't want to do too much FaceTime, because then it removes the thrill, and you kind of normalize informal communication. You know, that very informal interaction. Let the standard be known that you got to go places. You know what I'm saying? We need to see the world. And if the energy doesn't match that, because you could definitely expect what they do, what you do in that FaceTime or in those texts or on those phone calls. If you normalize it, that will be your norm. But if you want to be out here traveling and doing things, I don't know, just be careful. Hang up. You know, when they call you and they want to talk to you all the time, and it seems like they're enjoying it, when the conversation get good, just hang up. I told y'all, we on the phone with Bob, and Bob loves talking, right? Bob loves talking, and we're at, like, you know, the crux of his argument. You know, he's like, you know what, I just enjoy you so much, and I can see myself, and then, you know what I'm saying, I can see a future with you, you know, and then boom, hang up the phone. Pretend like the call dropped, or you know what, the next time y'all talk, be like, Bob, I thought you hung up on me. I don't know what happened. I was so in tune, and I was just so taken aback. I didn't even know how to respond. I just wanted to give you this space. You know, give him space. Hang up. Don't talk too much. Don't talk too much. That's how you get played. I love to travel, but crippling plane anxiety, it sucks. Oh yeah. I'm not too pressed. I've been just chilling until I had a discussion about modern women making the first move with some girlfriends. Just wanted to get your views on it. If that's what you want, but understand like how that could be rather masculine, or that can lend to you doing a lot of labor in the relationship, and so be careful about the precedent that you set, you know. I was with a man that had a son before we got together, and I didn't find out until we was together for 4 years. Oh, you know what, was he still with the child's mother? Was he trying to get out of that? I'm praying for you. That's a little crazy. Taste, did you already tell us why you don't believe in soul ties? I came in late. Oh yes, we had a lengthy discussion about that. And so we just moved into something else. I'm 20 and have found my life partner. We are in sync and are just perfect for each other. Nothing like I've experienced before, and vice versa. Is this a good decision? Wait, if you believe that's your life partner, you got to keep living. You know what I'm saying? You have to continue to allow life to play out. You have to allow your conditions, your environment, your circumstances to change, because that can better show you if this person is actually a good fit. You got to go through life a little bit more, but you're 20. Like, what's your career goals? Like, what's your education goals? Are they older? Hopefully. What's going on? Okay, thanks. I'll check it out on the replay. Thank you. He was from the gym. Oh, girl. It was a client of his. Wait, what? It was a client? I'm a little confused. Don't put it in little fragments. Put the whole thing so I know what you're saying. When she said he was from the gym, you got to be careful. It's because, you know what? If you're dealing with a trainer, you have to understand, like, if you cannot really attest to their character and know for sure, there's going to be a lot of revolving people coming in and out of his life, you know what I'm saying? And you're in such close proximity, you know what I'm saying? That intimacy, you know, and some trainers be dragging it. You see the IG videos, some trainers really be dragging it. Let me see. My personal feelings about dating married men is you'll always be the other woman and second best in his life. Nothing more than heartaches for you and his wife. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an advocate for dating married men. But I mean, I want to speak more to why men even do things like that, and why we speak so much to women, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was the part that was kind of like bothering me. Like, don't speak as if like I wanted to be in that situation. Let's be very clear. Didn't want to, and made that very clear. But again, we enable men to, you know, do what they want, and women get all the criticism, scrutiny, and judgment, and that's the bad energy. Let's hold them accountable. Sounds mean, but I have no respect for anyone who purposely and exclusively dates married people. Friends first, so he knows me quite well. He's 21, just finished university, and I have 1 year left. Our goals are aligned, just like everything else we have in common. If it's working for you, my love, I would say, you know what, if you trust it, I mean, do you have a ring or something? Like, how you know what I'm saying? Has it been solidified? Like, what's going on? I didn't find out until I see child support trying to collect money. How could they collect money? Were you married? Were y'all filing together? Like, what's... There's a bunch of fake sugar daddies who get emboldened by quarantine for some reason. I'm getting back in the game, and they're making it hard because they're so trifling. Girl, I was telling y'all in another live, a lot of people don't know what 6 figures is. You just be talking to them and they be like, yeah, I make 6 figures, and you be like, okay, so then explain. And it's quiet, it's no back talk, it's crickets, it's really bad out here. People really It's bad. It is bad. It is bad. It is so nasty. You gotta really be careful. Like I said, people be like, yeah, I make 6 figures, but let's go to this $2 sign. And okay, and I'm about to piece you out, my love. We'll never hear from each other. You know, you'll never hear from me again. You don't even get, you get a half of a time to play a game. Half of a time. Pink, did you see my comment about a friend who dates exclusively married men on purpose? No, I did not see that. But what was your question? And like, I can't speak to that, but what I will say is, you have, I mean, the person who purposely dates a married man and a man who is married who purposely dates outside of their marriage or anyone else other than their partner, they're both, you know what I'm saying? We have to condemn both. We keep that energy for both, okay? Men need to take responsibility for stepping outside of his marriage. Okay, it's all about responsibility and accountability, basically. Basically. Hold on, let me. I'm late. Are you Christian? How do you feel about dating men solely based off their tax bracket? I believe in God. I will go there for you. I will speak to that. How do you feel about dating men? How do I feel about people dating men solely based off their tax bracket? How you choose to date is how you choose to date. I'm not about to sit here and judge you for your decision. That's your body. That's your choice. Let's allow women the ability to choose. That's my energy. Men discriminate all the time. Women, you can do the same thing. If you have a certain qualification or something you don't want to wear them on, okay? Because men still saying what body type they don't like. Whole time you go to their page, you look at their profile pic, you look at their feed on Instagram. Okay, love, do what you want to do. I don't like dating my coworkers. It just feels so uncomfortable to me. But now my crush works at my firm, but in a different department, and our interaction is minimal. Plus, I'm HR, so I have to behave. Okay, because that could turn nasty real quick. Because when you think about it, who you think they're gonna let go? Who you think? Black women, they're gonna let you go. Unfortunately, black women are not protected in corporate spaces oftentimes. Woo! Hey, beautiful. Hey, Marissa. I've secured 2 bags luckily, but they both acted like a broke 21-year-old by making me feel uncomfortable for wanting food at a restaurant, which has never happened to me until now. Listen, here's the thing. Kay got my margarita in here. If I told you, oh my God. Sometimes you don't find out they're married until you're in too deep. And then you have a decision to make. You know, once you are made aware, you have a decision to make. So here's my thing. If you have a preference and someone tries to make you feel bad about wanting a person who could provide you with a lifestyle that one, you already have or that you aspire to maintain, like, do your thing. Do not let people make you feel bad about that. We women, black women especially, we're not supposed to have a preference. We're not supposed to want certain things. We're not supposed to want better for ourselves. We're just supposed to take scraps, take what we're given. No, honey, have a choice, because that's not what's expected of us. And so when you have that, that's when, you know, you're viewed as like mean. You're viewed as a gold digger. You're a bitch. You're a witch. You're all of these other things. No, know what you want. People be like, oh, you need to be able to do for yourself what you want others to do for you. Not entirely true. Not entirely true. Because there are men who will say, I don't need you to have this because I can do this, and more for you, okay? Just make sure he gets you a business and put your name in it and he ain't got no involvement. If you want to be an investor, you know, take that money, take that advance, take that money, you know what I'm saying? No checks, and no get the lump sum in cash. Do what you gotta do. My fiance pays all the bills besides the utilities and groceries. It's the first time I've let someone take care of me, and it feels great. Okay. At this point, Black women, we just trying to relax. We just trying to relax. I'm not trying to. Who got wrinkles? I had a. Okay, so we don't refer to women as females because you know what I'm saying. Animals could be of a female. So I had a woman coworker tell me today she didn't know the difference between dating and courting. I was baffled. And sometimes, you know what I'm saying, help people. Let me see. Drop John, what I have entered the Twilight Zone. That's crazy. Roles need to be discussed early on because everyone has different views on this. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? If you believe that you want a provider, or if you believe in 50-50, I can't speak to that. That's your choice. If you that's what the standard that you create for your relationship, your union, your marriage, whatever, articulate it, be able to articulate it and communicate it effectively and in a healthy manner. A healthy manner. So you'll be good. It's okay to have standards in spirituality, looks, finances, emotional availability, family status, character, respect. Okay. How did you get into affluent circles or meet affluent men? I'm gonna be real. Okay, so I don't speak about where I live, but like, what I will say is very wealthy Jews, and so you gotta. And I let me tell you something. If y'all follow me on Instagram, there'd be times where I would be approached, and I would literally like show how I looked, and just to let y'all know like what look I had at the time. I guess that made people feel comfortable approaching me, because I don't. When people say, oh, you know, you gotta have like black hair, and you gotta have like, you know, you can't have your natural hair, or you can't have this and that. If you watch my stories, I will have all these different hairs, and it always catch it. I think it's about confidence. It's about how you carry yourself. If I could be honest, confidence always looks. True confidence, when I walk in the room, it speaks. Okay. I work at the country club. So much amazing networking. And always look presentable and happy. Okay. And so, you know, but like I said, there's no specific look. But like I found, like I get approached. I have been out. I have been to events. I have been like working events and get approached. I'm not gonna say by who, because not by who, but like, but what they do, because then again, that's murky. But what I will say is, when you go out, and especially when you're in the social space, the social media space, oh my God, there's all these events, people that you don't even expect that'll be there will be there. And again, but the thing is, the degree of separation, my love, you connected to somebody that you don't even know, so you got to be careful. Because you might talk to somebody who talked to somebody who talked to somebody that you went to school with. Ew. That's why half the time it's just, when you go to these events, just go to these events, you know what I'm saying? Kiki, well, not kiki, but like, be nice, be cordial, be, you know, respectful. But everybody know everybody. I'm a Tom girl. Help. You can be a Tom girl. You can have confidence. I don't even know like what that term like means. Like, you can help kind of like break that down, because I, you know, have concerns about that. But you don't have to look a certain way. You don't have. I'm telling you, confidence. Be confident. And it's okay to be smart too. And it's okay to like know how to play the game. You may not be like that smart, but you may be good at manipulating. Like, know your strengths. That's my advice. Know your strengths, and be confident and comfortable in how you present. However you present, that is it. Right? Be very selective. You don't want to be known as a pass around. Okay. One thing about me, I'm difficult. But I think y'all can tell that from my videos. I'm just, ooh, you gonna do a lot of work. Ooh, you gonna jump through a hoop. You gonna do a little bit of gymnastics. Not too smart now. Just let them believe you're dumb because they already think. I'm plus sized. I have a skin condition. I'm plus size. I have a skin condition, and my level of self-love is unmatched. I have spoken to people who expect me to hate myself because of it, and that's their ignorance. That's it. You are not confined. You are not defined by your condition, your inabilities, or you know anything that is outside of that like able-bodied social norm. You can. Let me tell you something. Confidence, the way you carry yourself, the way you walk into a room. You know what I'm saying? One thing I will say, those eyes, you know what I'm saying? Those eyes. Because that's the first thing. Do they look promising? You know, I like to give bedroom eyes, you know what I'm saying? Had a little y'all see this little, I always have a little highlight vibe. You see that? Brighten up that area. You know what I'm saying? Because and I get a lot of even when people like, oh, you always wear makeup like a black. No, when I was at the gym, the comments that men make, they be so whack. But you better stop looking at me. Those eyes. She hit us with her spell. You know what I'm saying? I'm just joking. Just found your channel now. Subscribe, loving the wisdom. I'm 20 from London. Ooh. Oh, and you know what? I also want you guys to tell me what other times I should go live so that I get like more people in here. Or because I know 8 o'clock, I really be getting a lot of heat about that in my DM. So I'm trying to figure it out. So definitely let me know what times will work for you guys so you can, catch more of it. Let me see. I live for the inner corner highlight. Okay, men are visual. Don't lie to these girls. Tell them the truth. Improve yourself. You'll attract better quality men. Let me tell you. I've seen women walk into a room and be super plain and be in there and they had a man with the money. I've seen all of it. But see, that's the thing. Like, what kind of circles and what kind of rooms are you in? Because I've seen plain Janes having men 7 figures. 7 figures. Plain Jane. Nothing special. Absolutely nothing special. So it all depends. And are we talking about old money or new money? Because I personally, I like the old money. I've seen girls in hoodies, sloppy buns at the bar getting all the love. Okay. It's a lot. It's because you know what I'm saying. You can be the person who is very elaborate, very done up. We love that, but there can be duality in that. You can also be just come through. I'm gonna come through. You know what? This is how they play it. They're gonna come through with some designer brand that you haven't even heard, but the price tag gonna kill you. Okay, what they're wearing, plain as hell, but the cost of each item, and it ain't nothing but some pants, some dress pants, some slacks, and a shirt, my love, and it costs more than what you. And you don't see the name brands, my love. See, that's that old money. That's what I'm talking about. I don't want the conspicuous showy. I don't like that. And I'll repeat an outfit in a minute. That's not the point, love. Plain Janes are still classy in quality and getting to the bag. You want to see an example of old money, Hill House vintage on Instagram? All that other stuff, that's old money right there. I'm not gonna call her my sis because she's older than me. She's my elder. My queen come through. She tags her outfit pieces. Money, my love. And not looking stressed and getting people upset and pressed about it. Well, that's what I mean. You can be plain, but you can't look a mess. There's a difference. Of course, You can, and looking put together, but you can still look a mess. Because how many times have we been out and about and we in our sweats, hair looking a mess, and somebody's trying to approach you? I just want to talk to you. You look so beautiful. And you like, what? I really rolled out of bed and just, this was an emergency run. I'm not trying to be seen. Come on. We've seen it. So I'm not going to speak to that. And when I talk about femininity, the femininity, or, that I express, it's a spectrum. You can occupy any opposite extreme. You can fall somewhere in the middle. Your femininity in your terms is valid. Okay? Because it is way more than a look. It is way more than a look. Because, you can catch their attention. Can you catch that money, though? Or they going to be investing? Because let me tell you something. She is the definition of classy, feminine, and vintage. Those... If you think something about you will keep men from hitting on you, it's because you're not confident, because you can pull either way. Oh my God. You can do anything. You can do anything. Why more people see you when you look a hot mess than when you stunting on them? You're lucky if they get to see you. Okay. You're lucky if a guy sees you. Okay. Yes, to old money vibes. Where I live, we have a lot of people driving around in new Mercedes with, with rat. Oh yeah. You know what? Let me tell you something. And one of the things, this is what I'm gonna tell you. Now this is, I'm gonna need you to catch this, because this is it. Know how to talk about money. Okay? Know how to talk about money in a way that doesn't, I gotta be careful with how I say this. You know what I'm saying? Like, know how to talk about money, but also, like, be strategic about how you talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Express that interest, because they may want to invest in you. They want to invest in your understanding of money. So know just enough. Know the whole thing, but, play like you know just enough. So let me tell you something. It's all. And you know what I'm saying? Learn a little bit about business. You know what I'm saying? Get that business plan rolling. Just know a little bit, like do a sprinkle, because what you got to do is you got to know a sprinkle so that they feel inclined to continue to help you. Because if you come into the room trying to know everything, that leaves no room for someone who wants to provide for you and do for you. It leaves no room for them. They have to feel needed. So if you come in and you like, well, I heard about this, and this is as much as I know, and you know what? So what do you have to, leave it open ended. Let them fill in the gaps. You know what I'm saying? Take advantage of the stock market too, ladies. Grow your own money. Yes. Yeah. There's a way to talk about it that makes you come across as high quality, high standards, game having, and there's another way that makes people sound basic AF. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I say when you come into the room, you have to read the room. Like, who really, and who should you be talking to? You know what I'm saying? Like, and we gotta be more in tune with who we should be talking to. Because we have to be able to discern that as well. But y'all, I'm getting ready to close out this live. We've been here for like nearly 2 hours. This was good. We ended on a little kiki. So I hope this was helpful for y'all. Again, I appreciate the conversation, the dialogue. I hope you guys were okay and receptive of my ideas. I was receptive of yours, and we can challenge each other as needed. But thank you so much. And I think I may switch up the time for the lives, so we may go on hiatus and like come back and be stronger than ever. Okay? I was late, but I'm so glad I came. Always love your lives. Oh, thank you. Brand new here. I subbed and you're a good influence. Oh, thank you. Opinionated Beach. That's a cute name. Thanks for coming on today. Love you, girl. Love you too. Okay, love you. Be safe out there. Love you too, girl. Be safe. Y'all be safe out here. And can't wait for the next one. Yes. Love you, ladies. And Pink, I have some ideas for the lighting in your office. Oh, okay. Message me. Can you message me on Instagram? Because you know what I'm saying. Or drop it in the comment. If you don't have Instagram, drop, you know, suggestions for the lighting in the comment section. Yes, let me read. Yes, and yes, thank you, Mochaccino, for the yeah. Watch my Get Ready With Me videos. She said this is my sugar account. Okay. All right. Peace out, guys. Have a good one.